joking! Oh.
Well, you can do anything but lay over my blue suede shoe.
Elvis Presley. He's famous as white that most people call him just by his first name, Elvis. American singer and actor, one of the most commercially successful performers of popular music of the 20th century. The phrase "King of Rock and Roll" is associated with Elvis Presley. He's ranked third among the greatest performers of all time and the greatest vocalist according to Rolling Stone magazine. Elvis Presley remains one of the most famous personalities of the world pop culture. The life path of Elvis Presley became the embodiment of the American dream. The attractive young man from a poor family became an idol of the public, breaking all stereotypes of the musical world. Sing like black, dress like black, and act like black. No decent American person could afford such an escapade in the middle of the 20th century. No, Elvis was destined to change that. His parents were secretly married in 1933. They had to go to Pontotoc with the purpose of getting a marriage license. Young couple didn't have an opportunity to be a real family because his father, Vernon, was only 17 years old at that time. His mother, Gladys, was 21. Elvis Presley was born on the 8th of June, 1935, in a small town Tupelo, state Mississippi. There was always lack of money in the family. His father didn't have a permanent job. Interesting fact, Elvis was one of the twins who survived childbirth. He always blamed himself for the fact that only he could see this life. He had some nicknames like Fire Eyes, the Village Cat, the King of Heart, and Mr. Safety. He really loved animals. He was owner of a cock and 2 dogs in his childhood. He had a poodle named Champagne during army service. After moving to the Graceland Manor, he got monkeys, dogs, chickens, goats, donkeys, and cats. The only animal he didn't love were snakes, because they caused him to panic. In spite of money lack, his father thought about Elvis Presley's spiritual growth. Every Sunday they were attending the church where they could listen to Negro gospel songs. That time the boy was enjoying blues of his neighbors' performance and loved listening to the radio. When he was 10, his wonderful voice was noticed by his primary school teacher. She made him to take part in a talent show. He chose the country-style song and he took a second place in that competition. In 1948, he moved to Memphis against all odds. He started making friends and worked on his appearance and clothing style. He became looking so similar to typical Afro-American males. Interesting fact, when he was 3 years old, he had gorgeous hair that were loved by many people. After cutting his son's hair, Gladys couldn't throw them away and saved them in the box. His next haircut was only in the army service. One of the most iconic moments was when Elvis was performing at his graduation party. No one could expect to listen his performance. He conquered the audience and became a real school star. His parents loved the son's prom night because they didn't graduate from secondary school themselves. After school, Elvis Presley was getting the education of electrician in college at the request of his mom Gladys and the church vicar where he had been performing. One day the boy decided to try to work as a truck driver. At the same time he decided to take up music with the purpose of listening his own voice at the music record. During the recording at the sound recording studio, he was interested by studio owner Sam Phillips. He asked Elvis to share his phone number with him and called back only in a year. It was the start of Elvis Presley's career. No one could expect that a white-skinned boy will play the black-skinned songer's blues such a perfect way that he did. In July 1954, Elvis' first single, That Is All Right, appeared at concerts and became a big commercial success. 19-year-old boy started to perform in local bars, winning the hearts of young girls not only with his voice, but also with his unusual dances. When the first Elvis song was launched into rotation, everybody wanted to know the color of the performer's skin. The musician was invited to the radio for an interview, and the only question that solved all the disagreements was what school he had been going to. The Hume School, Elvis answered. No black-skinned kids were admitted to that school. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, also went down in history as the king of Cadillacs. He bought his first one at the age of 20 in 1945, a delicate pink and white model that served the superstar for about 3 months. When the car caught fire on the highway, Elvis sat back on the road and looked at his longtime dream with glassy eyes. But soon a new, even more luxurious Cadillac was purchased. The car was used to transport chickens, geese, and ducks to help his parents as farmers. Presley gave his mother a Cadillac Flatwood S60 series. That time this very car was a dream of millions. Legend says that Elvis named the car Gladys and presented the commissioning ceremony in the spirit of nautical tradition, breaking a bottle of red wine on the hood of the car. In the same year, 1955, Presley left Sam Phillips and signed a contract with another record company. This advice was given to him by his new manager, Tom Parker, who had a great influence on the development of the talented musician's career. In the spring of 1956, the singer released his debut record. It was a real success, and his popularity began to grow rapidly upwards, and not only in the music world. A contract with Hollywood film company Paramount opened him the door to the film industry. In 1957, Elvis was drafted into the army. A young man was fit to serve, so the singer and didn't crave such development. He still decided to fulfill his duty to the country and firmly endured all the difficulties of military life. Elvis wasn't forgotten for his fans. Parker was releasing his new records and advertising with photos of the singer in the army uniform. And we can't also forget Presley's greatest achievement. Costumes played a major role in the king of rock and roll creativity. He dressed flashy and brightly. The most expensive costume was made for a concert in 1974. The price of it was $10,000. In the army, Presley became interested in karate, and he was able to get a black belt. This sports success was reflected in his stage image. Many of his concert costumes of the 60s looked like kimonos. Came back from army, Elvis returned to filming, and he met Priscilla, his future wife. She was only 14 years old, so the popular musician Elvis had to wait until she came of the age to get married. It happened in 1967, and a year later the couple had their only daughter, Lisa Maria Presley. Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Maria Presley, married the king of pop, Michael Jackson, in 1994. In 1965, Elvis met the Liverpool Four, the Beatles, who considered Presley their idol. The musicians talked behind closed doors. The king of rock and roll explained it himself as a desire to talk in an informal setting. After some taunts to his address from John Lennon, the conversation was over, and Elvis disliked the Beatles. Elvis Presley's best song is Blue Suede Shoes. The song was firstly recorded by Carl Perkins. Elvis just sang it by speeding up the tempo. Despite all the twists and turns, the single was considered to be one of the most recognizable in the king of rock and roll's work. Elvis' career can be divided into periods. During the first one, he was busily engaged in music and in developing himself as a singer. In the second, he gave preferences to career in film, having achieved success in the movies. Totally Presley filmed in 31 movies. In every of them shows lyrical baritone and the original dancing movements of the singer. Most of the films were mediocre. The musician was ready for difficult roles, but Tom Parker, the artist's manager, put his conditions for signing contracts with directors. The fee had to be a certain amount. This moment wasn't allowed by Elvis, who fully trusted Parker to develop his acting talents and show his other side. Presley's film career began in 1956 with the shooting of the film Love Me Tender. In this romantic film, he played Clinton, who married the beloved of his brother. To know more about the life of the musician, you can see documentaries like Elvis, That's the Way It Is. The film is about an artist tour in Las Vegas. The director filmed the singer not only on stage, but also backstage with his friends in an informal atmosphere. In 1972, the movie Elvis on the Tour was released. By the end of 60s, the interest to Elvis had begun to fall. It was proved by album low sales and the lack of attention by ordinary passerby in the street. The singer didn't want to accept it and decided to return to his glory. Instead of filming, he began recording new musical albums and performing them. His busy schedule led to the fact that Elvis began to use drugs, from which he became addicted. He couldn't sleep without them or feel awake when he woke up. At the same time, glaucoma has developed and his stomach wasn't working properly. Despite all his health problems, Presley was active. His last peak of fame came on January 1973, when his Hawaii concert was broadcasted in 36 countries. On the 16th of August 1977, Elvis Presley passed away. The official version was heart attack. Crowds of fans gathered around his estate, not believing to his idol's death. Elvis was only 42. There were rumors that he faked his death to start a new life. Many years have passed since then, but Elvis is still famous and popular. All fan clubs, memory weeks, the releasing of new albums after his death, and mementos with his appearance are saying that Elvis Presley is the real rock and roll legend. Why did he get the name the King of Rock and Roll? Elvis' achievement is simple. He made music popular and sparked public interest to it, so only few people before him ever dreamed of a career as a musician. And in public he was brave, charming, and talented. His relatives said that he was shy and it was hard to become friends with new people for him. But it didn't stop him from becoming the first, and it's proved by the interest to his work so far.